Blumenauer from the great state of Oregon.
Thank you. I must confess I'm having flashbacks. I've been doing a lot of reminiscing recently, closing out 50 years of public service. And I have memories of what I did chairing a tax committee in Oregon, working in local government with thorny, very controversial issues, and different approaches that worked and then some that didn't. I think we could, with these 6 panel members, we could actually hammer out an approach. It's helping Congress do its job, as several of you have mentioned. I am deeply concerned that we as a Congress are not taking advantage of opportunities that should be controversial. I have raised savings in terms of farm subsidy that I did earlier with Speaker Ryan that could make a huge difference. There are areas in the Defense Department. We've talked about the battleship that the Navy doesn't want that's kept alive just simply for the jobs in Florida. This is not rocket science. Now, I came in, I must say, skeptical about another commission. Maybe it's the triumph of hope over experience, as Benjamin Franklin said about second marriages. But I do think that there is a role for what is being talked about here. There is an opportunity for us to be able to fashion a consensus with a different approach. One thing we haven't talked about, and that is engaging the public in this mechanism. And some of you have been involved with efforts that engage broad public involvement in terms of where they would put federal budget priorities, quite different than what Congress does and the controversies. There are mechanisms about how people would solve the Social Security problem. And it really would provide cover. It's pretty balanced and effective, and it would work. They don't tie themselves in knots. And I don't think we delegate it entirely, but I think in actually having some mechanisms to engage the public can cut through some of the falderall. I'm not going to be here, but I do think there's a role for a carefully crafted commission to provide some guardrails, to force some of these things going forward. Because what we're doing now is adding to the deficit, not just in terms of avoiding the problem, but there are costs for the failure that we have. Every run-up to a shutdown adds to the deficit because of the unnecessary costs and confusion. And Mr. McGovern wants us to think about how we're actually spending the money. We don't do that in Congress. So I'm hopeful that a commission can help. I do think there needs to be a role to engage the public. I've had a notion, a National Save Social Security Day, where we'd have high school students and college students come together on one of those simulations and do something that would engage the public in a broader sense. I do think there's a role for the mechanism that we have with the base closing commission. Yes. Because it forces us to act. It used to be the third rail. It's been extraordinarily successful. And I think a combination of a commission, a mechanism that forces action, and engaging the public would help us move it forward, because I think this is an important thing for us to do.
Very thoughtful. Thank you, Mr. Blumenauer.